Welcome to the Life Begins at Midlife podcast, where we pop the champagne to celebrate the unexplored joys and endless adventures that await us in the midlife. Flipping the script on what it means to hit those fabulous 40s, 50s and beyond. Because here, we don't believe in midlife crises, only midlife revolutions. Reminding you that the only thing we're letting go of at midlife is the notion that it's all downhill from here. Nope, we're here to climb higher, dream bigger, and laugh louder. Each week, we'll dive into the myths, share the truths, and unlock the secrets to making the midlife years your best years yet. From rediscovering lost passions to embarking on new adventures, we're covering it all. Expect candid conversations with inspiring guests who've turned their midlife years into their most dynamic chapter yet. We're talking to everyone from entrepreneurs who've launched successful startups from their kitchen tables to adventurers who decided age is just a number when it comes to climbing mountains or sailing the seas. So if you've ever found yourself pondering, is this all there is? Or you're just eager to embrace the richness of midlife with both arms wide open, then you, my friend, are in the right place. Grab your favorite drink, get cozy, and let's show the world that life doesn't just begin at 20, it begins again at midlife. And remember, in the Life Begins at Midlife podcast, the only rule is to live confidently, love unconditionally, and laugh uncontrollably. Let's get started. So hello and welcome to today's episode of Life Begins at Midlife. Today we've got Niki in the studio, and she's going to be telling us a little bit about how she empowers women to find their purpose and find their calling in midlife. So welcome, Niki. It's lovely to have you here today.
Oh, thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Great, thanks. So Niki, tell us a little bit about, who is Niki? I know I've been excited to get to this interview for a while. We've had a couple of attempts at it, and we've finally gotten to meet in the same space today.
So I'm Niki Kinsella. I am a spiritual teacher and franchisor, and I'm known as the Feminine Energy Guide. So I help women to awaken, find out what they love themselves, feel empowered, and remove all the shit that they chat to themselves, basically, and take the next steps in doing what they want, that lights them up. Because I think for a long time we don't really know what lights us up. We just sort of shuffle through life being told you need to get a job and you need to get married and you need to have kids and you need to do this, and actually it doesn't always work like that, and we don't always end up liking the situations that we're in or the things that we're doing, and then something will awaken us where we go, hang on a minute, like why am I here and what am I doing? And you start going inwards a little bit and giving yourself permission to take time for you. I think especially when you get into your 40s, you look around and go, hang on a minute, it's my turn now.
Absolutely. I think, we will all go through that stage where we've been there for everybody else. We've been that mum, we've been that daughter, we've been that partner, wife, maybe even a sister as well. And, you get to a point where, you do feel that, you've given so much and, what's in it for me? You might even look back and think, I used to enjoy, I don't know, playing the piano, for example, but I've not even touched the piano in all these years. And, giving yourself that permission to say, right, I'm actually going to make time to do that thing that I've not done for so many years.
Yeah, with no other purpose than it lights you up. Because you deserve to have that joy in your life. Because I think, I don't know about you, when we've been running our businesses or doing things, it's like, what's the purpose of this? If I'm going to read a book, it needs to be a book on this, or I need to be doing this and filling my time with this because it's going to, but actually by filling up our cup, and I don't know if are you familiar with human design?
Yes, I am. Yeah.
Oh, so what are you?
Me, I'm a 6-2 generator.
So I'm a 5-2 manifestor generator. So I think when we find that out about ourselves as well, and we can start understanding our energies, and I'm part generator, so I know that unless we're doing something that lights us up, we feel frustrated, and that will show up in everything. So, we are the doers, and a lot of people come to us because we do get shit done and we're really good at what we do. But the conditioning within us makes us say yes to things that we know we should be saying no to, but we don't want to upset anyone. And a lot of the time, we'd rather experience the discomfort ourselves than actually, say no, or I can't do that to someone else, when we end up being shit all over.
Yeah.
And it can be
100%.
very, very hard to start putting boundaries in place in that. So in 2021, I wrote a book called The Feminine Energy Guide. It's on Amazon, but
Oh,
it's the journey. It's part autobiography, but it's the journey of how I got to where I am now. But my introduction to like spirituality, because spirituality to me is about you finding out who you are at a soul level. It's not about religion. It's about connecting to that. Like, oh my God, this is me. I am spiritual because I am my soul, my spirit, and whatever your beliefs are. But part one of the chapters in the book is called No is a Complete Sentence.
yes,
And
I
it's
love that.
all about putting boundaries in place, because it's the people that we need the boundaries with are often the people that we're closest to, and we've put up with it forever and ever and ever. And then all of a sudden, when we start speaking up, they generally don't like it, because we're normally doing something for them or helping them or pleasing them in some way. And when we say no, they're like, oh, what's up with you? Why aren't you doing that anymore? So it's about knowing that it's absolutely fine for you to say no. And when we start trying to put boundaries in place, it can often change our circle of friends or relationships, or things can sometimes end or crumble, but that's no reflection on you. By you standing in your own authority and being like, I don't want that, and them saying, well, you should be doing this, or why aren't you doing that, and what's the matter with you? It can be hard seeing people's true colours, can't it?
Absolutely. And that, it hurts as well. And then you think, well, and I've been there where I think, well, maybe I should have just said yes. I would have just kept the peace and we would have all just been fine and wouldn't have gotten to this blow up, and all this, person would not be not talking to me. But then you get past that and you realize that, you're so much more freer and happier down the line once you've got over that initial, acceptance of that breakup. But yeah, it is sometimes not so easy.
Yeah. And it's remembering the reasons why that you want to do those things. So even in the moments when you feel like, oh, do you know what? I feel really bad. And you will get guilt and shame, and you'll be like, oh my God, what am I doing? I'm such a bad person. I should be doing this. But ultimately, we need to just reflect it back onto them a minute and be like, if you're not okay with me doing this for you when you can do that for yourself, what does that say?
Yeah.
And sometimes it's just about laying it out in simple words, isn't it? Why are you upset that I won't do the dishes every single night when we're all eating off the dishes? Why is it not okay for us to take turns eachers?
Yeah.
If you did the dishes every single night, how would you feel? And it can just sometimes not be about having like a big blazing row, which they will probably want sometimes, but just about sharing them, because they don't realize a
No,
lot of the time.
it's just so easy because, oh, so and so will just do all these things. It's fine, it just gets done. She obviously doesn't mind doing it. So why must I put my hand up and offer to do
Yeah.
something?
And it's exactly that, isn't it? They don't think that you mind doing it. Oh, she must like picking my socks up off the floor every single day because she does it. So I love my husband to death. He's my best friend. But there was a thing at one point where he'd just take his socks off and leave them by the couch, and the sock fairy would carry them to the wash
Oh
basket.
yes. Have you
And then
seen those TikToks where there's this magic table and all that kind of thing all just clears itself?
no, I haven't. Oh no, we'll have to have a look. But we had to have a conversation, and I was like, I didn't say anything. And then one day there was 7 pairs of socks next to the couch. And he was like, why are all they there? I went, I don't know. The fairy must have gone on holiday. And he's like, what do you mean? I was like, well, I move your socks every day and I've just stopped moving them. And he went, oh.
No, he hadn't even realised that he'd taken them off. Then all of a
And he
sudden
was
they
like,
weren't
oh,
there
okay.
anymore.
Just like, I've got no socks now. They're all next to the couch. But it doesn't need to be a horrible conversation.
Absolutely.
But sometimes in certain situations, we've just been having a few conversations previous, haven't we, about our pasts and things that have happened, and it can be unsafe for us sometimes to speak out because we don't feel like we're like, I just rewinding, I was married to a narcissist. Got married when I was 21. We were together from when I was 19 till I was 25, and I escaped when I was 25, but I wouldn't have dared say anything. And when I did try and speak up about how unhappy I was, because I was emotionally, what's the word? I didn't get any emotion from him whatsoever. I was never cuddled, kissed, hugged, told I was loved. There was none of that. And I come from a very affectionate family. So to go from that and then try and sort of instigate it and be told that I had emotional problems and I needed to go to the doctors.
Oh.
And when I went to the doctors to tell him that I had these emotional problems, he asked me to bring him in. And he wouldn't go. So
Okay.
he's like, I don't think the problem's with you. Would you mind bringing him in and we'll chat about this together? Because I was like, he said that I've got this problem. And he was like, did he? Okay, let's see him then. And he obviously wouldn't come in. But yeah, for a long time, I had things flipped on me and told that it was me. And then I lost so I'll just very quickly tell you my story. I was born into a single parent family because my grandmother shamed my grandmother split my mum and dad up because she didn't like me, who my mum was going out with, and then shamed my mum for being a single parent. So we lived with me now. God bless her. But she ruled the house. She wasn't happy unless everyone else was unhappy. She was a bully. She was a narcissist. Looking back now, we were all walking on eggshells. So from being a very tiny human, I felt the energy. I'm a massive empath, and I always have been. But I cried for the first year of my life. And she was like, "Oh, you cried all the time when you were a baby." And my mum used to go, "Not surprised." She got it, but my mum went down to like 6.5 stone. And then I was bullied all the way through school because I was bullied at home. So I didn't speak up. I just let everybody do whatever because I was just, don't you answer back, and but stick up for yourself in school, but don't you answer back. And so it was a bit like bullied all the way through primary school. My mum left my stepdad when I was 13 and got in with this other guy who was emotionally, physically, sexually, everything abusive, whatever tick box you've got, he was that, and he moved in with us. So we had that. My mum was in a very dark place, didn't really have time for me. But looking back now, it was because she had her own shit to deal with, which was very, very big. And then I met my own narcissist when I was 19 and got married at 21. And then I was stuck in this relationship, found drugs and alcohol that helped me to mask and manage and cope with and, self-medicate through the next few years. And there was lots of really horrible behaviour that happened. Escaped when I was 25 and met my now husband and bestest friend in the whole world. We've been together like 20 years. But because I was so used to people pleasing, straight away I was the submissive. I'll do that, I'll do that, I'll do that, I'll do that, I'll do that. But continued with the self-medicating. But what goes up must come down. So I was on antidepressants, I was on beta blockers, I was going to counselling, and I couldn't figure out where all this stuff was going wrong and what was happening. And then I found Reiki. Met an old friend at the school gates, and she was like, "What are you doing?" And we were chatting, and she was doing Reiki attunements, and I didn't really know what it was. I'd had it once when I was a kid. My friend's mum did it, but I didn't know what it was. And booked an attunement for my birthday. And she was going on about how we're all energy and we're all connected. And I was like, what the fuck is she going on about? Like, I have no idea. She's like, cuckoo. But when I started doing the work and, practicing Reiki on myself, you do a 21-day cleanse, and then started doing it on other people, I was like, oh my God. And it made me realize and start looking at and seeing where my body had been giving me signs the whole time. I had sciatica. I'd always had problems with my lower back, which is the root chakra, which is your safety and your security. I always had throat infections, although I was born with no tonsils. Which is my throat chakra. I had IBS symptoms, which is your solar plexus, which is your personal power. So loads of parts of me. I had infertility, which was me sacral. So all of those things. And I was like, oh my God, my body had been screaming at me for years, trying to tell me that it was broken and in pain, and I didn't know the signs. So that really woke me up. And then there was this horrible noise that I couldn't get rid of. And I was like, I don't know what this is. And it was me inner bitch. And she was so loud, and she was just like this all the time in my ear. You're shit. You can't do this. You're not enough. No, 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 no. And then all these other people's voices. And I was like, oh my God. And then I learned that what we think affects us on a cellular level. So my body was reacting to my thoughts. So it was like, right, you need to go. And then looked at things like fear and limiting beliefs and comparisonitis and boundaries. And then was able to start awakening to like the woo. So the cycles of the moon. Oh my God. I'd always loved the moon and I didn't know why. She became like my best friend, letting go, manifesting, letting go, like a little self-development program. And then looking at the law of attraction. And then so much more on an energetic level, like quantum healing. And I just went down this human design, sparkly rabbit hole, shamanic healing. And that was like my journey. But understanding my energy and how people make me feel. And now I can't ignore that. And that's what I help other women to do, is awaken themselves by understanding their own energy, their own mind, their own thoughts, not feeling guilty for thinking or feeling a certain way because that's their truth. And really reconnecting back to what lights them up and helping them to step into their power so that they can take the next steps to whatever makes them want to pea glitter. Because we're all so different, but we're told, and there's so much noise that you should be doing this and you should be doing that, and it's noisy. And it's hard doing it on your own as well. And that's why I've created the franchise, because I know how hard it can be to be in business on your own. So my vision is to create a sisterhood of heart-led, like-minded women that want to change the world through spirituality and holistic practices. Sorry, I feel like I've just gone.
No, no, no. It's been lovely listening to it. It's been great, and yeah, I think there's going to be a lot of people that can identify with a lot of that you've said. I know there's a lot that it was like you were a part of it, was like you were telling my story. So it's definitely something. So yeah, thank you very much for sharing that with us.
Oh, you're welcome.
And
I think what we look for in other people so much is vulnerability, isn't it? Like we want to feel connected at a heart level to other people, but sometimes we find it so hard to allow ourselves to be vulnerable and accept support, especially when we've always been the one who's been supported. And this is what I've really found over the last few weeks, is actually I am really supported. And if I just ask or let other people help me, they will, and I don't need to do it on my own. And that's sort of the message that I want to put out, is like, I've realized over the last few years that everyone keeps saying the same things to me, like, you create a safe space. I feel really safe when I'm with you, and I can tell you anything. And I love that, because I never had anybody to do that with. I always felt unsafe. I never had anybody, and I was always on my own. And I know what that feels like, to not feel like you belong and to not have, there's that circle of friends. Like I hung around with boys because it was safer than hanging around with girls, because girls had always felt really unsafe to me because I'd always been bullied, or, and I was a little bit beautiful when I was younger. So it was, there was a few things, there was a few triggers and things like that. But a lot, letting myself feel safe with women has took a long time, but now I feel like I'm ready to create that space for other women. And there's the free group, the Feminine Energy Guide, but there's something I can feel. We had a conversation, didn't we, about like there's something else coming, but we just don't know what it is, and we can't put our fingers on it. And it's
yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. And I can identify with that as well, at school, not feeling like you're safe with other girls, and gravitating, even as a mum at parties, I was ending up chatting to the dads, not the mummies who were having, and being vulnerable amongst women is, even now, is still quite scary, because you just don't quite know, and it's, well, for me at the moment, it's an thing I'm exploring.
yeah. Have you ever looked at the witch wound?
I've touched on it briefly. It's something that I think would be good to look at.
It came up a lot at the retreat that I've just run, and it's, if you look back through our generations, at one point our ancestral lineage would have been in the witch era. So to keep themselves safe and not be burnt or drowned or stoned or whatever it was, put in a cage, we would have learned to be quiet. We would have learned to have not be seen. We would have learned that our sisters weren't safe, because if you were accused as being a witch because you were too beautiful or too ugly, or you had a mole on your face, or, you know, you were a bit magic with plant medicines or flowers or hair, you know, anything like that, you could be called a witch for. People would be like, it wasn't me, it was her. And they'd literally throw each other under the bus to survive, because it wasn't just you, it was your family's shame and all that. So, you know, there's a big part of me that identifies with that. And as well as for whatever people believe, you know, we hold the trauma of up to 7 lineages of women. So, and we've got cellular memory, and, you know, our past lives as well. So I used to have a big fear of open water, and I believed that that's because I was drowned. And then I've done a visualization where I've seen my body as a witch tied to a log under the water. And I lived in a little stone house behind a mountain, and inside was full of plants, jars of plants. So I think I was like a herbalist or something, but I'd been drowned for being that. And it was a pebble beach, and I love it, like a pebble sort of by a lake. I can see it in my head. Sorry, I'm just going into it now.
No, that's fine.
I think that's what.
Well, I think that's a perfect place to leave it there for today. We'll have to have a part 2 where we go into talking about the witch wound and all those kinds of things, because I think we've created that anticipation for the guests that they're going to want to hear about it. So we'll definitely have a part 2 at some point where we can go into that. But it's been lovely having you today. Lovely speaking with you, and I look forward to speaking with you again.
Thank you for having me.
As we wrap up another episode here at Life Begins at Midlife, we want to take a moment to extend a heartfelt thank you to our sponsor, Jackie Bourne from Purpose Unleashed. Jackie's commitment to empowering individuals on their journey of self-discovery and transformation truly aligns with the spirit of our show. Whether you're navigating the challenges of midlife, seeking clarity on your next steps, or simply looking to live a more fulfilled life, Purpose Unleashed offers the guidance, tools, and support you need to turn your aspirations into reality. For those of you feeling stuck or at a crossroads, remember, it's never too late to redefine your path and embrace the life you've always dreamed of. Visit Purpose Unleashed website to discover how you can start your transformative journey today. Let Jackie be your guide to a more vibrant, purpose-driven life. You can find this link to the website in the show notes below. And to our listeners, thank you for tuning in and sharing your time with us. Remember, every day is a new opportunity to grow, to love, and to make a difference. Until next time, keep striving, keep dreaming, and keep listening.